this get here? So might as well talk about something, I guess. What's up, guys? It's Sten, and yes, I have a camera now. I'm hungry, okay? Is that a problem? What's up, guys? It's Sten here. You know why I'm here. You read the title. We're here to talk about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, if you don't know what that is... Man, I gotta stop looking at myself. I'm such a handsome man, I just can't help it. Now, if you don't know what Age of Calamity is basically a Musou, is what it's called, style game. Kind of like the likes of Dynasty Warriors or Fire Emblem Warriors. Wow, I actually am surprised I remembered that even existed. And soon, Persona 5 Strikers. But this one is the second Hyrule Warriors, and it takes place 100 years before Breath of the Wild. That itself, it's an okay concept, honestly. You could do something cool with it. It'd be nice to see the backstory of how everything just went downhill for Hyrule. So, I'll give it that. We're gonna go a bit in depth, because this is the start of a brand new series. I don't have a name for it yet, but maybe I'll have a name for it by the time this is out, in like a few months, because that's my luck. So what better place to start than the gameplay? The gameplay is basically the core of any video game, so if the gameplay is not good, odds are a lot of the rest, with some exceptions, none of the rest of the game is good either. It's kind of hard to have bad gameplay and actually have somebody enjoy it, because then it just gets boring, or just unbearable, or just like frustrating is another big one. I know games like that. The gameplay, I would give it this. It's probably the best combat I've seen for any Musou style game. It's a lot more complex than how it usually is. A lot of the times in Musou games, you're just beating the heck out of like hundreds of people with ease, just spamming the same button, whether it's... I'm just gonna use PlayStation, because that's the only game I've played these kinds of games on. Whether it be the square button, well, just spam the square and the triangle button just over and over again until the whole wave's gone. And then sometimes the stronger ones where you do the exact same thing. And sometimes you charge up a move and it's special and it does like a butt ton of damage. Just gotta have that. But this one has a lot more complexity to it, especially with the bigger monsters. Now you also have the Flurry Rush, where if you dodge at just the right time, you can do like a short little onslaught of attacks, just kind of like exactly how it is in Breath of the Wild. And there's also the runes as well: Bomb, Stasis, Magnesis, and Cryosis. I keep forgetting what the name of that one is. I just call it the ice one. And then you can use all of those, and they all do special different things. Like, for example, certain attacks from certain stronger enemies can easily be deflected by using one of those runes, and if you deflect it right, then you basically get free hits at that enemy while it's weakened. And whenever it's weakened, it has this little meter, and once it's ticked all the way down, you can do a special, like, weakened... I forget what it's called, honestly. I'm looking this up. That's what it's called. Weak point smash. Yeah, okay. I've beaten this game before, I know what I'm talking about. Now, another thing that's really, really big about the Musou games is the variety of characters. Without a variety of characters, it just feels kinda eh. But yeah, in Hyrule Warriors, it's got a decent variety of characters. Like, okay, as far as variety of characters goes, I will say this: the variety, at least to me, isn't as good as it was in the first Hyrule Warriors. Especially considering some of the characters in this Hyrule Warriors basically use the same kind of thing. Like Sidon and Mipha both use water with tridents. It's kind of hard to say what the difference is. Rivali and Teba, the one that I keep forgetting the name of because they're so forgettable, they also both use bows and wind. Like, I understand they're kind of the same character. I just wish there was a bit, they could figure out how to keep it a bit more variety. Now, I will say, some of the characters, ooh, mwah, top notch. Hestu, which I still cannot believe is a playable character. It completely threw me off guard when I found out. That's a good one. That's a good fight with maracas. Oh, heck yeah. A+ weapon right there. In my opinion, the funniest one that I've seen so far is the Great Fairy. They attack with kisses and stuff. Their special attack is where they fight. It's like they turn into a stable from Breath of the Wild, and they attack the enemy with a big herd of horses. What the heck does that have to do with the Great Fairy? I'm so confused. But I love it. And not only that, the Great Fairy is like so much bigger than everyone else. I remember I couldn't get through one of the paths. I think it was in the one where you unlock Mipha. I couldn't get through one of the paths because it was taking up the entire pathway and I couldn't get by. I mean, it was kind of annoying, but it was more funny than annoying, if I'm gonna be honest. Now, what about the story? Does the story hold up all that well? The story, if I'm gonna be honest, kind of predictable. A lot of it is pretty much exactly what I expected when I played Breath of the Wild. I mean, they recruit all of the champions. Whoa, really? I didn't know. Let's just, you know what? Let's just jump straight to the part where it just annoys the heck out of me. What I hate about this storyline. If you don't know about the Zelda timeline, it splits into 3 parts. One where Link stays a child, one where he stays an adult, and one where he fails and dies. Breath of the Wild was supposed to take those 3 timelines, make it less complicated, and combine it back into one again. That's what it was supposed to do. Then, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity came out. It is canon. Even though it's a spin-off, this one is canon. It split it back in 2 again because of that stupid little orb guardian egg creature. This thing decides to go back in time, bring back people from the future, because yes, it's got time travel, because we all love time travel. It takes stuff from the future, like the 4 characters that were supposed to be like looking up to the champions from the actual Breath of the Wild, like Sidon, Teba, Yunobo. What was the other one? Riju? Yeah, they're forgettable anyway. They bring them all back from the future to help the champions. And so the champions don't die like they were supposed to in Breath of the Wild. And this thing also decided to give King Rome, who was also supposed to die, a thing to protect himself from getting killed, so he's alive too. So basically, nobody died. So now it's split into 2 timelines, one where they win, one where they lose. So right when you thought everything was fine, back in one timeline, they go and split it again. And then the villain, I think his name's Astor. He's also super forgettable too. I'll look back in a year and be like, oh yeah, that's what it, that I remember that guy. I think I forgot about that guy. He's basically your stereotypical Zelda villain. And what you think happens is exactly what happens. He tries to summon Ganon. Ganon's like, no, and then takes over Astor and kills him and sacrifices him for him to be overpowered. And on the talk of Ganon, I just want to point out, why does the final version of Ganon in this game look like a Ben 10 creature? I won't say it looks bad, it just it doesn't look how I expected it to. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks kind of cool, I guess. And then after you beat the game, you get the post-game. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I honestly feel like unless I'm missing something, which is possible, I feel like the post-game feels kind of underwhelming, especially compared to how much Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition has, which is the same price, by the way. I do want to point that out. These games are the exact same price on Switch. Hyrule Warriors had such a big variety of characters that you can unlock even after you've beaten the story. But in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, there's only like 3 or 4 optional characters that you can unlock. And then after you do that, what do? Just a bunch of battles that are pretty much not even all too special. A lot of the stuff that you can do in the post game is stuff you could do before you even beat the game. Now, I just beat it, so that could change, but from what I'm seeing so far, and I honestly don't think it's gonna change much, that's not a whole lot. Now, they've also got the Blood Moon battlefield, where it takes a regular stage and makes it harder, with harder enemies and whatnot. I played the Rivali one. I only had 2 characters at that point that were above the recommended level. I breezed through it like it was no problem. I don't really see much of a difference. However, I will say this on the plus side, I do like how much Breath of the Wild they incorporated into this. You can tell they made sure they kept everything in mind. The Great Plateau, Flurry Rush, runes, everything. Even stuff that completely would have slipped my mind, they added in. And it was so cool seeing all these different references and stuff. However, another good thing I do want to commend this for, this game, in my eyes, looks really good. Like, really, really good. Especially if you play on TV. Oh, so good. But on the other hand, there are the frame drops. Because, of course, Switch games have to have that. Oh boy. For a large portion of the game on my own, there wasn't a whole lot. I didn't have too many frame drop issues. Like, I did have a couple here and there where there was, like, a whole lot going on. But in multiplayer, that's where the frame drops get really, really more common. And sometimes it's kind of hard to miss. Now, there's another last thing I want to talk about. Right now, in my personal opinion, I personally like the first Hyrule Warriors way more than Age of Calamity, because the original Hyrule Warriors had way more content that I saw. The only thing that I say would probably save this is definitely, this kind of an obvious one, but DLC. I don't know what the DLC could be, but you know, it's fun to theorize. Right off the bat, we know if they're gonna put DLC, they're gonna have new characters. So now that we know time travel is a thing, and we can take people from the future and bring them to the past, we basically any Breath of the Wild characters are on the table right now. I would love to fight as Beetle. Maybe that monster salesman guy. We could fight with that stuff. Suga, I feel like they'd probably pick him. Maybe he already has a moveset, but it'll probably be really similar to Master Koga. I was honestly expecting one of the scientists, like Pura or whatever the heck the other guy's name was, I forget. I expected one of them to be playable, and they use like ancient weapon-based moves. That would have been nice. I could totally see them doing that. And then Astor isn't playable either, so maybe they'll do something with that. But what else could they do? Now, another thing, cool thing that I think they could do for the DLC, more post-story stuff. Add some new stuff for the story. Maybe like jump into the future, like 100 years into the future, and see what it looks like then. Maybe do some stuff that'll like hint at or, you know, foreshadow or promote the Breath of the Wild 2 sequel that's coming eventually. Probably in a few years if I were to guess. But yeah, overall, Age of Calamity, even though I did have my gripes with it, I will say the gameplay makes up for it. The gameplay is probably the strongest thing about this game. I loved playing through this game, but I don't know how much I'm gonna play it regularly because of the lacking post game. Now, what it did want me to do though, I want to go get Definitive Edition now. Boy, I got the Hyrule Warriors Legends for 3DS. That was my first mistake, because the render distance was so bad that the enemies wouldn't spawn until I get like 2 inches away from them. That is not okay. Well, anyway, that's one of my quick short reviews of Hyrule Warriors. Right now, this is just more of a proof of concept sort of deal. And if this does well, and it comes out well, I'm definitely doing more of these. Mainly, the focus I'm going to have on this series is games that I recently beat. So, though there will be some exceptions, like some of the older ones that I beat them ages ago, but I have something I want to talk about with them. But we'll get to that eventually. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe, and if you want to get notified, then definitely hit the bell. If you liked what you see, like the video, share it with others, and if you have any recommendations and stuff, leave them in the comments below. And this is Sten, signing off. Goodbye.